Hey guys, it's me. And today we're going to be looking at the dark side of Spirit Halloween. These stories are terrifying and were submitted by real people who claim that these things happened to them while shopping at Spirit Halloween. So let's get started. The first story comes from a Reddit user. They said, I used to work at Spirit Halloween. We would get a lot of donations from people who would drop off boxes of old Halloween stuff they had stored in their attic or basement. One year, we got a donation of what looked like an old Victorian nightgown. It was very detailed and pretty expensive looking. It had been obviously well taken care of and was probably pretty expensive when it was new. It also had a handwritten price tag on it for $14.99. Now, donations are usually given to us at half off the original retail price, which is already really good since most of our stuff is brand new. But this was clearly an antique. So why was it only 15 bucks? Well, a few days later, some ladies came in looking for something just like that. They found it and asked how old it was. I told them I had no idea. I had only been working there a few weeks. Then they asked if it was haunted, to which I responded, of course not. After all, it was just a really old nightgown. I didn't think much of it until they came back without the nightgown. They said they decided against buying it because they thought it might be haunted. Apparently, they took it to a psychic who told them it was indeed haunted by a little girl who had died in the house she wore it in. They said they couldn't keep it because the little girl was very unhappy with them and tried to make contact with them through dreams and visions. She wanted her nightgown back. I guess the store gets all sorts of weird vibes from customers sometimes, but this one definitely takes the cake. I was just trying to have a normal conversation, so I never picked up on any vibes whatsoever. Our next story comes from another Reddit user. They said my mom has gone to Spirit Halloween a few times over the years to buy a couple of fun Halloween decorations. Every time she goes, she brings home something that's possessed. The first time, it was a small plastic cauldron that was supposed to hold candy for trick-or-treaters. When my mom put it outside, she heard screams and laughter coming from inside the cauldron. She brought it inside and nothing happened. The next year, she bought a scarecrow that she left on the porch. That night, she heard footsteps on the roof, and then the scarecrow started moving. My mom screamed and ran inside. She hasn't been back since. Our next story comes from another Reddit user. They said, I used to work at Spirit Halloween as a teenager. Most of the stuff we sold was donated, and some of it was crazy expensive because people overestimated its value. We had this huge wax dummy covered in realistic skin that you could buy for $300. One day, a woman came in and asked about him. She said she had a son who was obsessed with serial killer history, and she wanted to buy the dummy and have some fun. I told her he was going to be a little too creepy for most houses, but she seemed thrilled. She bought him, put him in her car, and drove off. About 2 weeks later, the police came into the store looking for information about a missing person. Apparently, the woman had driven home, parked in her driveway, and then walked into the woods behind her house and had not been seen since. Her car was still parked in the driveway, but her phone and purse were left on the counter with the keys sitting in the ignition. The police were able to track her social media activity to where she had been stalking Jeffrey Dahmer's house. She had recently been released from a mental hospital and became obsessed with him. When the police went to search her home, they ended up finding the $300 dummy covered in what appeared to be blood. And when they checked her internet history, they found that she had been looking up things like where to buy a meat cleaver and how to remove bones from the human body. Of course, we ended up closing the store early that day, and none of us ever saw the police report. But I imagine that her family probably had to hear some pretty wild explanations from the officers that day. So, did you enjoy this video? If you did, make sure to leave it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.